About today, the anxiety that is related to the school reopening. Yesterday, the president was expected to give a direction on what is going to happen. Where many of us, the stakeholders, I am a youth mentor and I go to very many schools. I mentor the young people in schools, in churches, and in the society. And many of us were expecting that the president would give a definite day on when the schools would reopen. And there are so many speculations that were there that the president would open the school. But the president said he does not know about when, but we need to talk about the how. And that is what our president said yesterday. And therefore, today I'm joined by two wonderful people. We'll have a parent who also happens to be a teacher, and we'll also have a counseling psychologist who will help us to understand, what are the parents, what are the teachers, what is the society feeling, and more so the anxiety that is related to the reopening of schools. The person number one that, my panelist number one is a friend, a person who I've known for many, many years. He has been a friend, and he will be in this panel wearing two hats. Atavaa kofia mbili, kwa sababu najua pia kuna Wakenya kule ambao wanatuangalia, na pia tungependa kutumia lugha zote, both Kiswahili and English. Yeye ni mzazi. Yeye ana mtoto nafikiri darasa la 4 la 5 atatuambia. Alafu pia akona zile fia zake kama mwalimu, kama mzazi atatuambia. Na pia yeye ana double kama mwalimu atatuambia what are preparation, what are the teachers feeling about the reopening of the schools. And therefore, I want you to put your hands together wherever you are watching us from to welcome a very good friend of mine. And because of COVID, we'll not greet each other. We just, like put like that one and say hi. Karibu sana, Mr. Karanja.
Yes, thank you very much.
Karibu.
My name is Boniface Karanja.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a teacher by profession,
mm-hmm.
and I'm also a parent.
Yes.
And thank you for inviting for this discussion,
mm-hmm.
that you'll have a time to discuss and see some of the things which are happening out there.
Yes.
The reality
mm-hmm.
of the things happening.
Mm-hmm.
And as a parent, things are that you think, some of the things that we think we know.
Yes.
And some of the things that we don't know.
Yes.
And by the end of it all, we'll have the professional people who come in and try to help us and be able to answer those questions.
Awesome. Karibu sana, Mr. Karanja.
Thank you.
Let me first of all ask you a very personal question. What has it been for you as an individual, not as a teacher or parent, as an individual for the last 6 months? With COVID, you are used for 8 to 5 job. You also serve in Awana Ministries where, you interact a lot with children. How has it been for the last 6 months without all these things that you do as a person?
Now, at the beginning,
mm-hmm.
This thing caught us unaware.
Yes.
We are not even prepared for what was to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the government closed the schools, mm-hmm. the first thing is that we are supposed to be in our homes.
Yes.
Not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the information.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what to expect to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then
mm-hmm.
through the media, through the things that were being told,
yes.
I think from the social media we learned that even the graph for the death in Africa was expected to be too high.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have such things,
mm-hmm.
fear creeps in,
mm-hmm.
because you don't want to go out
yes.
to be affected by this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have kids that you want to protect in the same house,
mm-hmm.
you want to eat,
yes.
you want to pay your house rent.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are supposed to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, there was a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Even I remember there were even times
mm-hmm.
I stayed in my house in the small compound
mm-hmm.
for a whole week
mm-hmm. without
going outside my gate,
yes.
because I did not know what was outside there.
Mm-hmm.
But the funniest part of all was when your food is you want to go and buy food.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is you go to the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
But before you enter,
yes.
you first of all see you are counting how many people are inside.
And probably if you know, if you would note who is this, so that if they are infected, also you probably
yes.
you are at a risk.
So these were the fears that we had,
mm-hmm.
and the fear also was affecting us individually,
yes.
because you have a child in the house,
mm-hmm.
who is accustomed to be going out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you create a thing in your child
yes.
that if they go out,
Yes.
most likely they are going to get it.
Yes.
Then there are these issues where you're told you can't go home to your parents because you know our parents are aged. You're told they are the most vulnerable group. Then you know some of them don't even have phones.
Yes.
So even communicating with them, knowing how they're doing, it became a challenge which we had to fight with. And it became a challenge.
Wonderful.
It was tough.
Wonderful. What an introduction. And for viewers that are watching us live on Facebook, we will invite you, to put your comments, to put your suggestions so that we can also read your comments live on Facebook. We are live on a location. Actually, we are so happy. This is the first time we are doing on live location. This is Real Talk today, and we are talking about anxiety that is related to reopening of schools. Mr. Karanja, before the end of this, I'll ask you a more personal question, probably, or in terms of economics, because many teachers lost their jobs.
Yes.
But we'll talk about that at the tail end of this broadcast. But for today, we want to focus on the issues at hand, the anxiety that is related to the reopening of schools. And you're here as a teacher and both as a parent. But what was your reaction on the president's announcement yesterday? Because everybody was waiting for president to say either 2021 or October, November or December. What was your first reaction when the president said there's no definite date for reopening of schools? What was your first reaction as a parent?
I think the way president talked and some of the things that he said, to me he was like God sent. Because I knew people are not ready for opening. Like when he talked like that, I think to me, I think one of the things that I say to myself, he had cries from the parents. Parents are ready for their children to go back to school, but they want a proper preparation to be there.
Yes.
Because we know it's our academic year for our kids have been stopped, but on the other side,
yes,
we don't also want to risk. So to me, the president was God sent.
Yes.
You see, it's like he said, halt. Let's see how far you are prepared.
So you're saying as a parent, Asante Bwana Rais. Yeah.
Kabisa. Because I was happy that, because you don't want to rush.
Yes.
Like there's a time I think our CS for education said, it's better for our kids to be alive and the year to be lost.
Yes.
So you don't want to rush things. And when the president put that full stop yesterday for people to stop and have proper preparation, to me he was God sent.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Mr. President, Your Excellency, that is from the parent's mouth, that you're God sent, and that is some of the things that the parents were waiting for you to say. And actually, when I posted on my wall yesterday about that decision, I could see the reaction of parents saying that was the right thing. And I'm happy that you have also agreed on very many parents who commented on my post yesterday on Facebook saying that that was the kind of an announcement they were waiting for. But let me ask you, as a parent, and after staying with your child for the last 6 months at home and they are safe, what are your worries as far as the school's reopening is concerned? What are those specific worries and anxieties you have as a parent?
One of our worries is, if you look at the last 6 months, nobody told the parents on how to prevent most of those things. And through the things which are happening through the social media, you're very sure the understanding about the COVID-19 is not the same. For my kid, I might have been very strict. Let's think of another parent, because of the social status of where we are living.
Yes.
There are some parents who live in a place where there's too much openness, even their neighbors, there's no that barrier.
There is a lot of interaction amongst the children, yeah.
Maybe for my kid, I'm very strict.
Yes.
Now, and you see, most of the things, what I've done with my child, I've put a lot of don'ts.
Yes.
Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, do this, and do this. But there are some, maybe outside there, because of things which are happening, we have kids who are, for them it's a freestyle. So my worry is, are we sure that when we come back at this time, we are going to prevent it from spreading? And you see, also due to the social media, there's a lot of information out there. We have heard of countries where they opened schools.
Yes.
The spread was too fast, schools had to be closed.
Close again.
And these are not countries like us who are third world.
The third world countries, yeah.
They are much developed countries. If it is affecting their schools.
Yes.
So my worry was, how sure are we
Yes.
that we are going to, the things that the Minister of Health had said and Education, how sure are we they are going to be implemented 100%? Because some of these kids, even with masks, you can imagine you come, is it called N what?
N95.
A child with an N95,
Yes.
and my child
Yes.
with one that goes for 30 bob.
Yes.
They might even try to exchange and see how they work.
And actually, I'm coming to that question, Mr. Karanja, you know, because I want you, again, let me switch gear a little bit and put you in the shoes of a teacher. Because you have now spoken as a parent that there are so many things, the do's and don'ts that you have put, you know, for your son. But what do you think about when he's back to school? Is the teacher in a position to apply the same don'ts? Because we have been told that the COVID will be here with us for a very long time. Actually, you know, I read one of the news in the morning, and they're saying the vaccine might be available for the world in 2024, not 2021, 2024. So, and the countries that have the vaccine, they have said others will be available in November, but for their countries only.
Yes.
Who do you think the role of a teacher, is the role of a teacher going to change, you know, to be a parent, to say don't? How do you envision, how is that going to look like for a teacher?
Now, even before you go to the teacher, I want you to take this child.
Yes.
They close the school in the month of March. And they have so many don'ts that they have been told not to do. Now they come back to school, they see their friends for the first time after 6 months.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you are telling them, don't hug, don't have high fives, don't do this and this. Now, you can imagine now, it's as if you're introducing new greeting
Let's say
signs.
the new normal for them.
But for them,
Yeah.
the problem is that we as adults, we are not showing them how it is done. They are seeing it on the social media and the political things which are happening within our country.
Yes.
Now, you as a teacher, you have a new responsibility that you make sure they don't even, almost like don't even play with each other. They don't even touch.
Yes.
That's now the challenge that we have. Maybe for the older one,
Yes.
they can try. But think of a school, even with the nursery kids, 2 to 3 years, 4 years, and then you tell them, don't socialize. It's almost impossible. So to me, at this level, as a teacher, it's a burden of another burden. Because there were so many things which are happening that you as a teacher, you're supposed to be like police marking them not to do it. So you can imagine, you have a syllabus to cover,
Yes.
you have yourself to protect, and you have the kids to protect.
So actually I was coming there, how do you protect yourself as a teacher as you interact with these children? How is the class going to look like? I'm just wondering.
It's social distance.
Yes.
Now the classes will become smaller with fewer kids. Then it means the school has to look for more extra classes because I'm thinking like if you have like 3 or 4 class 8s and each class has around 30. With the now social distance, it's like they need around 15 to 20.
Yes.
So you almost create another 6 to 7 classes. So meaning more personnel are needed.
Yes.
The school equipped for that? No, I don't think they're equipped for that. Then we don't only think of the public schools.
Yes.
There are also private schools. Now the cost implication is too high. Then when you put all those things together,
Yes.
on short term, it is almost impossible.
Yes.
There's a friend of mine who told me yesterday, you are lucky, you are teaching in a school
Yes.
where all the kids are normal kids. I'm in a school which is a special school.
Yes.
And already it's a burden with these special kids because most of them you have to do everything for them.
Yes.
Then she told me, you can now imagine you add a mask on to them. They don't know what is that.
Yes.
Then you try to tell a kid in a special school
Keep social distance.
social distance.
Yes.
It is
They don't
impossible.
understand that. Yeah.
She said it is impossible.
Yes, and again, not even the special needs kids. Think of the kindergarten. Think of class 1, 2, and 3. I do not think those kids will understand what social distance is. So that is why actually it is like the president said yesterday. It is not a matter of when. It is a matter of how.
Yes.
Because take, for example, if you have seen the news yesterday, there's a school that has over 3,000 students in Kenya, and they have 80 classes. So actually the principal was saying that they need 140 more classes before the reopening.
Yes.
So I think we are agreeing on that one. And, you know, it's like you went ahead and answered the question that I wanted to ask next. But I want to ask you, you know, what do you think, or what is your opinion on those things that should be a priority right now before reopening? Because we are now talking about reopening. We do not know when, but we are asking, we are waiting to, you know, to be told the how by the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health. But what do you think are those, what we call the irreducible minimums, the things that must be done in a school, either private or public, that at least will enable, like, class 8 to come back? You know, what are those irreducible minimums that you think as a teacher and as a parent that you would want to see before you are ready to say, yes, I'm going to allow Mike to go back to school on Monday?
I think what some of the things that the government can do for now is once you have all those guidelines, I was thinking the best thing that the government can do is tell the teachers, go back to school, sit down as a school, list all the things that you need. And then look at the priorities, that what are the immediate things needed. Because you might be thinking, these things need to be there, but we don't have the capacity to do them at one interval.
Yes.
There's a high school which is neighboring to us. And all the things that one of the guys who works there told me that the things like for washing hands, those sinks and all those things, they were estimating that the cost alone to go over 200,000 on sinks and new extra taps, because the school has over 1,000 pupils. You can imagine that's a government school, which are saying for one item they need over 200,000.
You know, when you talk about sinks, I feel like I want to interrupt you a bit, and I'm sorry for interruption. You know, and think of how primary school kids, you see, when we're talking about students who in the past would not even be able to control themselves to queue for food or to queue for, you know, to use that tap. How do we control these children to keep social distance during washing? Continue, Mr. Karanja, so that we continue talking. Go ahead.
If you look at, that's an example I was giving of a high school, to add those things so that they can at least have enough sinks for washing hands and doing all those things. That's a high school.
Yes.
The good thing about where I teach is a private school. Washing hands we had started last year.
Yes.
So that's something that we had already instilled in them. But you still found that even before they had to do it, there was a teacher just to do a bit of control. Then if you have too many of them within the school, then you try to put the social distance, and not even the washing hands. The most technical thing I found was our toilets. So you can imagine everybody is pressed up to go to the toilet. Then you tell them 1 meter from each other. So you have like 20 kids on the line waiting to get inside the toilet.
They'll pee on themselves. Go ahead.
So that's what I'm saying. Before the school opens, if we can do what we call the stock taking, then from that, these things to be compiled within the zonal, then they go to the district, and then the education department see what is needed in different schools. Some schools might even, if you tell them to open today, they might open because they have the capability, they have the facilities to do it. But we don't need to look at those who can be able to do it now. Think of those that cannot be able to do it and how we can be able to help. Because we don't want a school that is capable of doing everything to be told, go ahead. Then the school that cannot be able to do it, you tell them to open in intervals. Then you're making the kids in that school to be ahead of others. Is it a fair competition?
No.
No. So what will happen is that we want in a system that when we say we are opening, at least we have like 60 or let's say 70 or 80% of the facilities or the things that the government want to be done there. So that at least even the parent from home will say, I think there's change. And these things to be published so that parents will be able to say, when I take my child to that school, I'm very sure security is there. Now, and also training to be done. Because you can't just come and, you know, if you give someone that, is it called a thermogun, and then you're told you'll be the one in charge of that.
Yes. They don't even know how it is done, and what do they do so that they can get the right temperature.
And you know, most of these things are handled by who? Not by the teachers, by the guards.
Yes.
The same guard that you want to be opening the gates, same guards that you want to do other things, you want them to also to be using the thermoguns on.
Let me give you an example of that one. There's a place I went, and you know, they took my temperature in the sun. And because the thermogun actually was not taking my temperature, it was taking the sun's temperature, you know, the temperature, the surroundings. And do you know what? My temperature was said to be 39 points. And I told that guy, how am I even walking that I have 39 point something temperature? So you know, I get what you're talking about, and what you're saying as a teacher and as a parent is that both the private and public schools, they must invest a lot in infrastructure wise before the reopening. That is what you're saying.
And also, the other issue that we have is, you can imagine, you do all that. Then next year, vaccine comes up, then you're told things will go back to normal. So most of the facilities that you had invested in becomes a waste.
Yes.
So
now what do we do?
So that's what I'm saying. We don't rush to do things. We make sure that at least some of the things that we think can happen now, can we be able to do them? But we don't also want to also delay the opening. But I think, and we don't want to make it also to be political. We want to make it to be for the future and for the prosperity of our education system. That things that we do today, politicians and other stakeholders will not come and change it in the next 1 or 2 years. We want something that to be consistent. We don't want things that will happen and then we say, is it what we did became a waste? So that we don't also invest and then we cannot enjoy what we invested in that.
Awesome. You know, there's a rumor that is going around. It's not official. Would you as a parent, you know, support the gradual reopening of schools first? We are talking about phased, you know, reopening, whereby probably we put class 8 first, and we put form 3s and 4s, or form 4s only. Then we see that how it goes. Then we, because you know, so that we can face it, so that we know where are we going to go wrong, what can we change, or are we in support of that? Because again, if we say we're waiting for January, we might just wait for January, but there's nothing that has been done. What do you think about the gradual or phased reopening of schools?
Gradual opening of school is okay, but also you need to look at on both sides, the good side of it and the bad side of it. I'm thinking of the class 8s and the form 4s. We're in the month of, I think we're going to October.
October,
which is the 10th month of the year. Meaning, in the normal education system, it would be like we are only left with 2 months before the school closes. If we open with the class 8s and the form 4s, and they take out that time, and the year is over, meaning by that they will be doing their second term in the academic year. That will be their second term. So by opening next year, you'll be doing their third term, meaning by the end of the first term next year, they'll be through with the academic year, meaning both classes will have to sit for the exams. So they sit for the exams, the results are out. For them, they're okay because they are through with their academic year. Others can start afresh next year. But let's look at the disadvantage of that with the form 4s and the class 8s. Let's say they have done it in the month of April. The results are out by end of May. Where do they go? Because if they go to form 1, there's already a form 1 who are doing the form 1 for the second year. So these guys are ahead of them by almost 3 terms. They did this year the first term, they are doing it next term, next year they'll be doing another term. By the time the second phase of the form 1 goes to form 1, the form 1s who are already there, they are doing their third term. Then at the end of that year, with the form 1s who came in term 2 going to remain in form 1, or they go with the other class to form 2. These guys will be disadvantaged. The other thing is, if we try it and it fails, you see, we have destroyed 2 two groups.
Two groups, yeah.
The class 8 and the form 4s.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying the graduate one is okay, but if it also involves other classes, that there was something going on that said the form 4s and class 8 to open. Then I think the class 5 and another class will be coming on a separate day.
Yes.
Another class will come that way. That one can work with schools with a smaller population.
Yeah. So you're saying the how is the how. It's not the when. It's the how, because I'm envisioning a customized kind of a calendar.
Yes.
Because, you know, in one way or the other, all the children have lost. You know, either they're in primary, they're in secondary, the university, college, everybody has lost it. Because you see even the graduations, you know, they are not, you know, the pomp that we would always, you know, want to go to those kind of functions. So I am agreeing with you, and because of time, Mr. Karanja, let me ask you this one. I know you're so passionate, you know, when it comes to playing of children. You know, you are involved in the past you have been involved in you know, organizations like Kawana International, and now I know you are involved in GCN International.
Yes.
And one of the things, apart from, you know, teaching child in a class, it has been said that you know, more than 50% children learn when they are playing. What is play going to look like?
Someone said that too much work without play made a certain boy to be dull.
Yes.
And if play is not there, there's a portion of a child's life that you're interfering with.
Yes.
And it is very crucial in their development, because with their motor system, they need to touch things, they need to... These young ones have a lot of energy. If you look at the outside world there, even adults are asking for stadiums to be opened.
So that we can go play.
Yes. So we are only thinking about the adults. We are not thinking about the children. That we police mark them, that they don't interact. Then you are denying them something which is very important. So you can imagine the child goes to school during the break time, because you don't want them to interact. You take them to the field, see if you have a position and point for them where they will be playing for them by themselves.
A little bit tricky.
So you can imagine which are these games that you need them to be doing by themselves.
Yes.
It becomes very hard.
Yes.
So what you might be doing, you might be, that child might even be better in the house.
Yes.
Because when they are tired, they can watch the TV.
Yes.
You can have things that they can even go outside and hata kama ni kuku and kwa kuku then to do some things. But now we are restricting them too much that they might even the anxiety that you're thinking you are removing from home,
you're creating them more.
It even becomes double in the school. And you know that anxiety itakuwa kwa mtoto, then it will it affect
mzazi mwalimu,
not even the mwalimu. Mwalimu anapata anxiety because too much work is needed.
Yes.
You're supposed to be police backing another person.
Yes.
So you might find it becomes a problem. So play must be there.
Yes.
Can you imagine mtoto wa PP1?
Mtoto wa PP1 lazima anahitaji kucheza. Na Mr. Karanja, tunapomalizia kwa sababu nataka kupatia nafasi labda hatumalizii watazamaji wetu, lakini tunaleta mtaalamu counseling psychologist atakuja hivi karibuni ili aweze pia kutusaidia kutatua haya mambo na kuongea na wazazi, kuongea na watoto na kuongea na walimu pia. Lakini vile tunavyoongea ni kwamba jameni, huyu ni mwalimu na pia ni mzazi ambaye anasema ya kwamba kucheza kwa watoto shuleni itakuwa ni shida kubwa sana. Na kwa hivyo na ninajua nitauliza mtaalamu kwamba kama kutokucheza kwa hawa watoto kunaleta stress ambayo hiyo anxiety kama inaweza kuwa a source of other conditions, so that we prepare as a society, how do we make it better? For the private schools, Mr. Karanja is lucky he is in a private school. Wako na kiwanja kubwa, and I was thinking if we have students, like 20 students per class or 25, you can be able to put these students to play in groups, in like, you go break, kuna hiki kundi, lakini it will be hard for private schools. What about public schools? Ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about the reopening, it is not a matter of only going back to class. Kuna mambo mengi sana ambayo yanazunguka. Mwalimu wanaogopa asiambukizwe na mtoto, wazazi wanaogopa mwalimu asiambukize watoto, nao watoto wanaogopa mwalimu asiwaambukize. Jameni, ni jambo ambalo we must discuss very soberly. We support the Ministry of Education, nao pia tunaomba pia waongee wakiwa sober. As our counseling psychologist prepares, Mr. Karanja, what is your last, for this program? I know I'll engage you, and thank you so much for your time. And I know nitaendelea kukuengage zaidi, na pia na wazazi wengine tutaita pia principals wa mashule, so that watuambie pia what are those fears that they have. But as a parent, angalia hiyo kamera ya nyumbani na uambie, what is your last words as far as the reopening is concerned?
To me, as a parent, I think for the schools to reopen, we have what we call the sober mind.
Yes.
Let's discuss, let's disagree, and at the end of it all,
yes,
we shall agree. Because at the beginning, even our minister said we need at least to open in the month of January. I'm not advocating for that, but I'm thinking that even before we open, we can even reopen earlier. But what I want us to do is we sit down as the parents,
yes,
because one of the things that some of the parents are saying, they were ambushed with this one. Some of them had already said their minds are opening in January. By now, if you think of some of them have already lost their jobs, just trying to think, where do I get the school fees? Where do I get money to feed my family? So now, let's think and think again, so that what we will do by reopening, at least you are sure these are safe environment for our children to go and learn.
Thank you so much. As our technical team prepares for psychologists to come, let me read for you a few comments that are here, very positive comments. Maureen George was your student, and anasema, my primary teacher back in Baptist, good to see him. Na amesema ni say hi. Ndio hiyo say hi. A very also positive comment from Joseph Karaoke. Joseph Karaoke is watching us all the way from United States America, USA, ile ya ukweli. Anasema, I think it's going to take about 2 years before the vaccine is available for a Kenyan kid. Then anasema hii ni yako. Anasema, Mr. Karanja, the teacher is very well informed and should be part of the government policy group. Unaona vile Real Talk today imetafutia Mr. Karanja kazi na serikali. These are the kind of people that you should put there, and when you put him there, please make me his secretary, because hakuna chakula mbaya ya mkubwa inatoka kwa meza inaanguka.
I think the government have had that.
The government has had both the county government as the national government, and that is why the Real Talk today is here. We come here, we discuss issues that matters. That was Mr. Karanja. Thank you so very much. Mr. Karanja is a teacher as well as a parent. He was here giving us his perspective kama mwalimu. Kwa sababu ni vizuri kwanza tupate perspective ya walimu, ni vizuri pia tupate perspective ya mzazi, na ni vizuri pia tupate perspective ya psychologist. Na tutakuwa na wengi, hata tutaleta perspective ya wale ambao tunaita ni washikadau, the stakeholders. We'll also call the psychologist, and we are going to be joined by a psychologist right now so that we can be able to talk as a society. And if you're watching us on Facebook, please let us know, as a parent or as a stakeholder, how do you feel about the reopening of the schools? Do you think we should have faced, kind of a setup where we will send back, the class 8 and the form 4s, there are advantages and disadvantages of that. Do you think we need to reorganize the education calendar? Or what is your opinion as a parent? What are those anxieties that you're facing as a parent out there? As a teacher, what are your fears? Let us know your views. We are here to read your views so that we can reason together as a society. As we continue with this program, you can write your comment on Facebook, and I will read it live so that we can be able to continue. I want to appreciate all those who are watching. We can see Joseph Karaoke, we can see Richard, we can see Bob Kilonzo, Maureen George, and so many other people that are watching. Asanteni sana. Let's keep your comments coming so that we can be able to continue with this conversation. Remember that the conversation is the anxiety that is related to school reopening in Kenya. And remember that some of the groups that have been affected by this, but not limited to, are students, parents, teachers, non-teaching staff, like drivers. For example, the drivers might be asking themselves, as a driver, as I carry these children, what is going to happen to me? Labda mimi nitabeba watoto, halafu nikuwe affected na hiyo COVID, ama mimi mwenyewe nikuwe na hiyo COVID niletee watoto. yule ambaye ako pale dining hall, mzazi ambaye anaserve hawa watoto, labda wata interact, hakuna social distance, labda labda hawana mask. There's a lot of anxieties that is related to this. And today we are joined by another wonderful lady, a person who I've also known for very many years. She is also a friend of mine, and she's a counseling psychologist, and she'll give a personal opinion as an expert in this. When it comes to anxiety, we are asking ourselves very pertinent questions. The anxiety that the teachers will have, the anxiety that the parents have, the anxiety that the children have, can it have a ripple effect that will cause a lot of other problems in our society, like depression, those other conditions that we have that our counseling psychologists will be able to share. And our guest is none other than TABBYSUE Wanjiko NJOROGE. Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Musa.
Introduce yourself to our viewers.
Good. Thank you very much, Musa. And my name is TABBYSUE Wanjiko NJOROGE, a counseling psychologist by profession, and currently on private practice under Taksha Consultancy. And I'm glad to be here today.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana. What was your first reaction yesterday when the president, I know your child is not yet in school, but what was your first reaction when the president, talked about the reopening of the schools? That is not certain.
I was very happy actually with that remark, focusing more on the how, because many of the times we want to look at when will we open, when will our kids leave home and go to school, when will we as teachers resume, when will we as support staff resume work, but we forget to ask ourselves, are the systems in place, and how do we plan to do that? So I was actually very happy with that remark.
President, on my show today you have the second fan, so we appreciate for that decision. Before we get into defining anxiety and what kind of anxieties are there, and then we come to the the COVID related and more so the reopening, how has it been for the last 7 months as far as you as concerned, as a person, as an individual? What has been your experience during the lockdown, which has lasted like 6 months?
Personally, on a personal experience, it has been a time to also just reflect, take things slow. And also professionally, it has also been an eye-opener to even more people seeking professional help because of what they are going through. And even matters of anxiety, you find that they find themselves feeling, I'm not in control of what is happening. So this has actually taken the professional counseling profession to another level, with many people seeking help, although others feeling we are not able to even reach out for these services.
Do you think the COVID-19 sprouted out many issues that people had, because this is a time that there's no football, there's no chama, there's no nothing. Do you think the stress levels has gone up as far as the society is concerned?
I can say that COVID-19 has actually put many people also at risk. Maybe there are some who had the predisposition of a gene of maybe a mental condition, just like you're mentioning, the depression, inability to even control stress. And this pandemic has brought those things in light, because you find that we have had more time with ourselves. Families have found themselves at a verge of maybe conflict, and this has actually put many people at risk during this time.
Oh, okay. Continue commenting. If you have a question to our counselor, you can send it on Facebook, and we'll be more than glad to read your comment or to read your question. But we want our counselor to start by, our psychologist to start by defining anxiety. When we're talking about anxiety that is related to schools reopening, what is anxiety and how does it look like? And do we have types? Take your 2 minutes and explain to us what is anxiety, and do we have types, and how does the COVID related anxiety, how can we put it?
Okay.
In what kind of positioning it? If we have types of anxiety, COVID related, what is it type of?
Okay. One, anxiety first is very normal. Every individual in their part of life will experience anxiety. So it's very normal to go through anxiety, and acknowledging it is okay. It's very okay to acknowledge that this is how I'm feeling as a parent, this is how I'm feeling as a child, this is how I'm feeling as a staff, even in a school. But if we define, just like you've asked, anxiety is that constant fear and worry of what is ahead. And how do you know that you're now not going through the kawaida anxiety, if I may use that word? If you find yourself having persistent fear and worry, as I have said, of some of the scenarios around you, this actually results to, or rather warrants you to seek professional help. Now we have been in lockdown and in this state for 6 months now. And if you found yourself with that constant symptoms, like I'm going to mention some of them, that tells you that you actually now have something that is more.
Yes.
You've asked if there are types. Yes, we have types of anxiety. And some of the types we have, separation anxiety is one of them, whereby you find yourself having the fear of being separated with people who have been close to you. Also, there is another type of anxiety whereby you're now afraid of the social spaces, and that results to phobias. And we have phobias of going to public places, and we are going to see some of our population probably will find themselves experiencing these phobias even as we are moving forward. And also, there's now the generalized anxiety. This is that first type of anxiety where you're just experiencing the symptoms.
Yes.
But this has to be consistent for children in 4 weeks and for adults within 6 months.
Actually, it's, you have almost answered my second question on, what are those specific worries and anxieties that are related to schools reopening? And one of it, you have said the socio spaces. But as an expert, as you think of the reopening of the schools, what are those anxieties that you think are related, with parents, teachers, apart from the social spaces? What is your general view as an expert?
One, also the separation anxiety. Remember, we have found ourselves in a space where we have confided with our kids, for instance. We have spent more time with our loved ones. And now we are getting to that new normal of leaving our comfort space to now another world. So kids who are probably in boarding school will feel, now I'm leaving my parents in one county and I'm traveling all the way to another county to go to a boarding school. So there is that separation. A parent may also feel the same. Also, you are not used to go through public transport. Now you're being told you're going to be using the bus back home. That means you are going to be with your friends in the same bus. So these are some of the things and some of the anxieties that we may find ourselves experiencing.
Very good. We said that our viewers can also write questions on Facebook and we'll read them. And we have our first question, a very interesting one. And I think, one of the fears that we have is the fear of tomorrow. And Joseph Karaoke is asking or is commenting and says, tell her to talk about the fear of tomorrow and the anxiety that is associated with it. The fear of tomorrow. Talk about that and anxiety that is associated, because the fear that parents have is the fear of the reopening of schools, which is not today, is on an uncertain day that we don't know. So what can you say about that as an expert?
First, that is a very good comment. And indeed, most of us are having that fear of what is yet to come, the fear of the unknown. We are not sure what are we going into, what are we getting into. One, it's okay to feel that way. It's very okay to experience and be uncertain of what tomorrow holds.
Yes.
However, we need to also ask ourselves, what are you in control over? Is tomorrow something you are in control of? If it's not, we can now channel that energy to what am I in control of? I'm in control of maybe ensuring that I keep safe and stay safe. What I'm not in control over, I will take that day at a time, as I like saying.
Take one day at a time. Yes, we one of the common things that we are agreeing, and Mr. Karanja has agreed, and you are agreeing, that yes, anxiety and worries that are COVID related and the reopening is there, and we all have it. I personally had, you know, in the beginning I had a lot of fear on going out. I have a small baby. My eye, you know, will I go get the? I remember the virus and bring home. I remember the second, actually the third week of COVID. I got a very, you know, engaging job with Kenya Red Cross. I'm a volunteer, and the whole 1 week that I was out of my house, I was afraid that am I going to catch this virus and bring it home? So I had that fear. But now, how do we handle the fear and anxiety? Because it is there, it is with us. You know, how do we handle it? Because Mr. Karanja told us the fear is there. The children are afraid. The parents are afraid. The teachers are anxious. How do we handle it from a professional level? What is your advice to us? Because we all have anxiety.
One, acknowledge.
Yes.
Two, normalize these conversations in your house, with your close friends. Get to also pick the feelings, even as a person. You can either write them down, you can hold a conversation with your kids, get to know what are some of the emotions that are coming about when they think of now, maybe even the reopening of the schools. Because you may be actually going through this anxiety, but you're not talking, or you're not having someone to talk to. And at times you have even tried talking, even among a family, and you're not still able to get over it. There you can also seek professional help. Talk to a professional who will help you go through that.
So you acknowledge that you have that worry,
Yes.
and the reopening worry will be there. It is not disappearing. It is with us. And even as we have all the measures in place with the government, you're telling us that the fear will be there, anxiety will be there. So us as parents and the stakeholders in the education sector is, number one, to acknowledge the problem is there. And then number two, you normalize, you know, these kind of conversations. And then number three, if it persists, and that is where now we are coming, you seek professional help. When do you seek professional help as far as anxiety is concerned? When is it that you say, this now I need to go to a counselor? When is that time? Because many people, we are anxious, but we do not know when is this anxiety supposed to you know, when am I supposed to see a professional?
Even when you find that some of the activities you normally used to do have now been affected. Socially, you find the anxiety is crippling your day-to-day activities. Emotionally, previously you were actually in control, but now you find you're not able to just hold in that anxiety. Also now you find that you even worry, even when the worry should not be there. For instance, you've just sent your child out to maybe throw garbage. They have not interacted with anyone, but you still find yourself having that
you're putting them in sanitizer.
Yeah, you have that constant, uncontrollable fear and worry, just like we have said about it. And you even find yourself now getting even panic attacks. A panic attack may not be.
Let me cut you short. Let me cut you short. Let me cut you short because this one is funny. Today I saw one of my friends who is a pastor in Zambia, and he's traveling back to US. And what he did when he was getting into a plane, you know, two of the guys that were there, they had PPE or from head to toe. You know, can you say that one is you know, too much? Like if you're wearing PPEs out instead of a mask and social distance, do you think that is too much of anxiety as you continue with, you know, when?
We may not say it may be too much. Maybe for these two individuals, rather the individuals involved, felt that this is what I'm in control. I'm in control of, I have an available PPE in my house. I just want to take extra caution. For them, maybe they felt that is what they would have controlled. However, you may find that now you're not able to interact as you used to. So taking extra caution is good, but when you find that your spheres of life are being affected, that is also a call to just talk to someone.
Awesome. Anything else that you know, when you see this is it, you need to see a counselor? Anything else that you've left out?
Also sleep disturbances. You find you're also not eating properly. You have started not taking care of your own personal grooming. It's also important to just go that step further, because maybe the anxiety is being linked to something that is more, something more. It is just not just about the COVID,
Yes.
but something that is going within yourself.
And actually that is almost our last question, as I give you an opportunity probably to, to talk to the parents and every one of us about the anxiety.
Yeah.
What about those underlying conditions? There were people, there were children, there were parents, there were the stakeholders of education. There were people who had still underlying conditions.
Yeah.
That, do you think now with those those conditions, it will worsen with the anxiety that is related to reopening of schools?
That's actually a very good question. We may even put it the special population, whereby now with the new guidelines that have been given in place, maybe you had a child with a breathing problem, and now COVID-19 is predisposing them. This is also a concern, and it may also increase your levels of anxiety, not knowing what measures have been given, even to the school that your child is going to. So it's also important to also get the relevant information around, see how well your institution is prepared, and also look for other sources of plan B also.
Awesome. You have heard it from the expert. But before we come to the tail end of this conversation, we want to encourage our viewers to keep on commenting. Even as we come to the end, we'll keep viewing this video. Let us know what you think about the conversation. Let us know what anxieties that you have out there. Let us know the concerns you have, so that even on site, we can be able to chat, and we can be able to ask kindly our psychologists to be able to help us tackle that. Take that camera and talk to the parents, talk to the stakeholders of education in terms of anxiety, and as an expert, what you would want them, to do, do's and don'ts. Take it as an expert, because we are talking about anxiety that is related to the reopening of the schools. You have heard a teacher talking. You have heard the views of a parent. What is your, like your parting shot, to our society as far as this is concerned?
This is actually a moment for all of us to plan. And as we are now looking at the how, parents, you are at home with your children. As we've said, let's normalize these conversations. Let's listen to our children. What are some of the anxieties? What are they going through? So having these conversations at home will help. If you have also groups that you can communicate with your teachers, with your management of where your children are going to school, this will also help to give you that sense of security and also safety, that these are the plans that are underway. And also now for the education sector, many children will travel from various counties to go to school, and they are going through many psychological issues. So it's important to also have a psychosocial support system in place, so that when the children come back to school, it's just not education as normal, but we can also listen to them again, get to see what they picked during the COVID period. Also, the staff will also need this psychosocial support. So let's also normalize putting these systems in place as we are now working on the reopening. So mine is to say thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a space for one more question, because our viewer has asked one question. How do we talk to children who cannot verbalize fear and anxiety? These are children who cannot talk. The children who probably are 1.5 years, 2 years, they cannot be able to verbalize their anxiety. How do we tackle those kind of children?
That's actually a very good question. And children are very expressive, if I may use that word. And you can pick a plain paper, come with coloring crayons, give them to them, ask them to draw and just express. You can even tell them to draw anything, and you may find that the energy they are going to use on that paper, the specific colors they are going to put on that paper will actually give you and allow them to express what is inside. Also, play therapy is important. Get them to play with toys. Sand also is important. And if you find that you're not having a clear analysis of what is happening to your child, you can seek professional help, and the counselor will help to just bring out what the child is not speaking.
That you have heard it both from a parent and you have heard it from a teacher, and now you have heard it from an expert. Some 3 things that I've captured from the psychologist. Number 1 is that we must acknowledge that the fear is there. One of the things that we do is to deny. Let's accept that the fear is here and is with us. Then number 2, normalize these kind of conversations. Talk to people. Create WhatsApp groups. Call people. Get into Zoom so that you can be able to understand how other people are feeling at this time. And then number 3, if it persists, seek professional advice. You have heard it. In the last 6 months has not been very simple for us as a society. It has not been simple for the church. The church has been given now an opportunity at least to, to get the, people back to church, at least a third of, the congregation. The bars were opened yesterday. Everybody has anxious. But one of the things that is really disturbing our society is the reopening of schools. And this anxiety is real. And therefore, this is just the beginning of these conversations where we'll engage the stakeholders to understand how they feel so that even the Ministry of Education makes its decision, it will be an informed decision so that we do not, make a decision that will affect our generations. If we reopen the schools earlier, if we reopen class 7 and 8, it will affect class 8 and Form 4, it will affect all the other classes. If we reopen the whole school, people have lost their time. Thank you so much. This has been Real Talk today that was supported by Destiny Shapers Mentorship Program. And I want to really appreciate the Mount Kenya Baptist Church technical team led by Pastor Andrew Letsam and Steve NJERU being behind the camera. Thank you so much, guys. And I want also to appreciate Fidel of Masai Leather Collections for making sure that many people are watching us on Facebook. This is just the beginning of these conversations. We say, let's keep talking, because the moment we stop talking will be the moment that we get confusion and we start fighting. This has been your host, Musa wa Laikipia. God bless you and have a good night, depending on where you're watching from. Asanteni sana. Thank you so much.